Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the November Wikipedia and Education User Group EduWiki Knowledge Showcase. So this is our, I would say, periodic meeting that we try to do regularly and happens kind of as we have the time and capacity to, where we showcase different learnings from around the world. And today I'm particularly excited to welcome Florencia Gustavina from Wikimedia Argentina, who's going to be talking about one of our, something that I'm guessing is affecting almost all of our programs, which is generative AI, and how that's influencing education around the world. Um, so I want to start. I know most of you here are experienced Wikimedians, and I'm sure you have heard it before, but as always, this meeting is under the Wikimedia Universal Code of Conduct. There's a link in the chat I just dropped there in case you need to refresh yourself on what that looks like. I want to also start by introducing the last time we had a meeting was our General Assembly for the meeting of our members of our user group, and we did board elections during that. And so we have a new board that will be leading the user group for the next 2 years. And so I thought I would have those of us who are able to join this meeting today introduce ourselves. So I am Leanna Davis, and I have been the chair for the last couple of years, and I will be continuing as chair. And my vice chair, unfortunately, is not here in the meeting, but Bukola James from Nigeria will be serving as our vice chair. And then I know Joao is on the call right now, but is in transit, so isn't able to speak up, and he will be serving as treasurer. And then Shreya is also not on the call from India. Joao is from Brazil. Shreya is from India. She is not on the call either, but she will be serving as our secretary. And then Philip, since you are on, do you want to jump in and introduce yourself?
Sure, I'm Philip from Serbia, also on the board of Wikimedia Serbia, here in the Wikimedia Education User Group. I will be serving again as the membership admin, so I'll be dealing with memberships from now on in the next 2 years, I would say.
Great. Okay, and Zico, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hello and good evening. I'm Zico van Dijk. I live here in the Netherlands and I am allowed to call myself special advisor to the board. Thank you for the honor. And yes, I'm interested in online meetings like this. And the topic AI is certainly something everybody of us is absolutely busy with in these days. So I'm very excited what we are going to hear tonight.
Okay, thank you, Zico. So before we get started with the presentation, we have a couple of announcements from the user group. None of these are new announcements. These are perhaps reminder announcements. So the first one is our EduWiki Conference 2025, which I just posted a link to in the chat. It will be happening in Bogota, Colombia. We are really excited to co-host this conference with our friends from Wikimedia Colombia at the end of May 2025. And it is coming right up for the scholarship application deadline, which is the end of day anywhere on Earth this Sunday. So you have another 4 more days to get your scholarship application in if you haven't already done so. One important thing to note is even if you are planning to self-fund your travel, we need you, not just strongly encourage, we need you to fill out the form regardless and apply for conference attendance slots. So part of what we want to do with this conference is we have a limited capacity for attendees. And so we want to make sure the folks who are joining us are all folks who are deeply connected to Wikimedia and education. And so we strongly encourage you, if you are at all interested, to make sure you fill out the form prior to the end of day Sunday. And it is a quite long form. There's all kinds of information that we are asking about your education activities to make sure we've got a good group of folks who are deeply connected to Wikimedia and education work. And so the application text is available on Meta, and I encourage you to copy that over into Google Docs or another word processor and fill out sort of the questions there, and then copy and paste them back into the form so you don't lose anything as it goes. And the links to all of those are on Meta there at the EduWiki Conference 2025. So if you haven't yet filled that out, I strongly encourage you to. We already have an awful lot of
130.
130. Philip is our scholarship committee chair, so we already have 130 applications. There's 125 slots total. So, and we are expecting to get a substantial more coming in the next couple of days. So please make sure, if you haven't already, to go ahead and fill out that form and get it submitted in. Any questions about the conference? Feel free to put them in the chat too if you don't want to appear on video on a recording.
Ben asked a question.
Oh.
Do you need Wikimedia Foundation staff to fill this out?
No, Wikimedia Foundation staff will get a separate registration process.
I tried to keep that discreet. I just asked Philip, but
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Oh my God, sorry. I thought that was
okay, it's not secret. I just didn't want to trouble the group, but now we've done
No worries. Okay, well, we've answered that and given anyone else a chance to ask a question instead of having an awkward silence. So that was great, Ben.
Excellent. Glad to help.
All right, and then we also have an update on our mentorship program. So Philip, why don't you give a short talk about that?
Sure. So, as you may also know, during our General Assembly, beside launching the conference application / scholarship forum, we also launched the mentorship program, and I'm going to link to the Google form again. Now it's in the chat. So basically, this is the third installment of our mentorship program, where we intend to connect mentors and mentees so that they can perform these mentorship one-on-one processes. It's supposed to last for a few months, and in about a week, so I think it's November 21, end of day anywhere on the earth. That's when the applications close, and then by the end of the month, hopefully, we'll get everyone paired up, and a new round of mentorship can start. So far, we've got 71 applications, both for mentors and mentees. So that's quite a lot, more than I think the first and the second round combined. So this is going to be a daunting task to connect everyone. But yeah, I'll try to do my best. So if you want to impart your experience, wisdom, knowledge regarding education work on less experienced editors or contributors, or if you are the less experienced contributor, please feel free to apply, and yeah, soon you'll be paired up with someone, and the knowledge sharing can begin. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Philip. And yeah, I have participated in the program and really appreciated the opportunity to connect with someone. And so I applied and I strongly encourage anyone else who's interested. And I'm confident Philip's incredible matching skills will result in some good pairs, even despite the challenge of how many people we have interested. Okay, so I think that concludes our sort of EduWiki user group business portion of the meeting, and now I am really excited to turn it over to Florencia. So I will let me know if you can't screen share. I think you can, but
I'll check. I can, yes.
Excellent, go for it.
Okay. So let me just present here. Well, first of all, thank you for the EduWiki team for the invitation. I'm really happy to be here with all of you. And what I'm going to present today is like a preliminary work. I would like to, I will say that a lot of times because it's an open conversation, so it's really interesting the feedback we can have here. and all the information that is coming up in other countries is really useful for us. So I'm going to present some activities we have done during this year regarding generative AI, and then I would like to hear from you. So this is the idea of the presentation. And just if someone doesn't know me, I think we know from some years, but my name is Florencia Gustavino. I'm now the responsible of the Education and Human Rights program in Wikimedia Argentina, and I have been working in Wikimedia Argentina since 2018 with Luisina, that now is chief of program, so we are still, of course, working together, but I'm now in this new role, so that is really interesting for me also to be here with you and presenting this issue. I have some problems with this. Yeah. Today's presentation will be organized in 3 moments. The first part, I would like to talk about a survey we have done this year. I will discuss about how we develop it and how we implement the survey. Then I will present a preliminary analysis of the survey that we are still working on. I will let you know then why and what issues we are having with this. But that will be like the main part of the presentation. And then I will talk a bit about an experience of a pilot virtual course we have done, we are still doing. As I told Diana before, we in Argentina, our scholarship year is from March to November, so we are closing the year and we are still doing a lot of things. So the course is still going on because they are given on the final works. So some of the experience, we can tell it like a bit. So I will tell what I can, and then we can talk about whatever questions you have. So to start, about the survey. I think this maybe it's a common in all countries, but since last year, 2023, the issue of generative AI became a topic in Argentina's education. I think that in every class in the world, middle class, a university class. So what we have done during 2023, because this like started coming up in our virtual courses and in our chats with teachers everywhere, is started addressing the topic in our virtual course that is called Wikipuentes or Wikibridges in English, and like a special presentation. Wikipuentes is about editing Wikipedia, so we thought that the AI topic maybe wasn't like going to appear, but it appeared, so we said, well, let's regard this and make a special presentation about this topic. We did it in 2023 and 2024, and we invited specialists to talk about it. And I don't know if you know him, but Diego Sáenz Trumper, he works in Wikimedia Foundation in the AI investigation team, and he's a Spanish speaker, so he was part of this presentation in Wikipuentes. This year, we had the same experience, so we said, well, let's address directly this topic. And we started like thinking about what we could do about AIs and what was going on in the classes really about AIs. So we thought about making a survey that was called AI and its Challenges in Education. First of all, to know what people were, what teachers were thinking and doing about AIs, and maybe to contrast it with our ideas about what was going on about AI. So we partner with the Latin American and Caribbean representation of UNESCO for Media and Information Literacy. The name is really huge. We call it MIL Alliance, but it was really an interesting partner because they work a lot with media and information literacy in Latin America. So we partner with them and we launched this survey that was launched during the 2nd of July and the 16th of August in this year, 2024. Their survey was self-managed and virtual, so we did it in a form, in a line survey form, and people self-managed the answers. This is important for the results, and I'm going to talk more about that. And it was for teachers of all levels from Argentina and from Latin American countries. Of course, our database is mainly of teachers from Argentina, so the results are like 80% Argentina, 20% other regions, but there were a lot of answers from other countries, so that is important for you to know. And the survey was organized in 6 sections. First of all, we wanted to know the teaching profile, if we were talking for teachers of middle school, of universities, where from the region, what kind of schools they teach on. Then we have a section about media and information literacy, if they know or didn't know what they were talking about when we talk about media and information literacy. We said that AMI in Spanish, so maybe if I get lost with MIL and AMI, sorry. And then we have like 4 sections about AIs. We wanted to know if what they thought about what their students do on AI and what teachers do with AI. If they use it, if they don't use it, this was like an elephant in the room, or if they were using the technology like, okay, something else. So the survey was mainly about that. This part is important about the self-managed survey, and maybe we after this experience we are reflecting a lot on how to do surveys and how to implement them. And there were a lot of people interested in starting the survey. More than 300 people did it, but as it was self-administrated and a bit long, this is one of the issues that then we can talk about how long can be a self-administrated survey. Not all people answer the 6 sections. So when we have the answers to process the information, we only use in this first step, or in this preliminary step, 86 responses that were answered from started to end. We work with a sociologist that helped us in the analysis of the information, and we decided so that the sample didn't give errors, just to use for this first preliminary analysis, 86 responses. Maybe there's not a lot of information, but it gives us some, I don't know, slots of how to continue thinking about this in Argentina. So when we talk about the teacher profiles, as I said, there were responses from Argentina, but also from Mexico, Paraguay, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, Ecuador, Uruguay, and Venezuela. The teachers' ages, here you have the ages, there were from 25 to 35 years, 12%, from 36 to 45 years, 31%, and more than 46 years, 57%. This was something interesting for us because we are not talking about new teachers, but maybe experienced teachers, and also great experienced teachers that are using these technologies. And then when we talk about level, we have some little answers in primary school, but most of them in middle school, that is the 31%, and in universities, that is 64%. So there mainly were a lot of university teachers responding this survey, and all the response can be found in university teachers mainly. Well, thinking about teachers' perceptions of what students do with AI, we found that 62% of the teachers identified that students use AI for educational activities. The uses they get or they sense that they do are mainly for study support, that is 35%. It is like making homeworks or works, giving a text and checking, I don't know, spelling, everything that is like supporting the students' studying. Then the second answer, that is 23%, sorry for the Spanish, but I couldn't get all the translations, so I have it here, is like quick answers. Search for quick answers, like make a rapid question and have a rapid answer. That is one of the uses they principally get. And the third use is like for searching information, that is 15%. Of course, searching information and getting for quick answers can be part of the same activity, but some of them are like rapid information, and others are a moment of reading more deeply. When we talk about teachers' uses of AI in classroom, and this was one of our surprises, because our main idea was like, as was like with Wikipedia, when Wikipedia started to be something of a thing, we said, well, everyone should, as they said, don't use Wikipedia in classrooms. We thought that teachers were saying don't use AI in classrooms. And our first surprise was that teachers are using AI for their own activities. So this was something that the survey made like a surprise to us. So 67% of the teachers said that they use AI as a pedagogical tool, and they use it for these main three activities. Generating content. This is, for example, give me 3 activities to do about this topic, give me an example about this topic, or make, I don't know, a story with this and this information, yes, to create content for the classes or for teaching. Then planning, like making a class plan or a unit plan. And then they use it for virtual assistance, like help me doing this, make this abstract, etc., like virtual assistance on different topics. When we ask about teachers' concerns in AI, in students using AI, the 3 main concerns we found were these ones. The first one was difficulty on identifying reliable sources. The issue of the sources is one of the main issues that is creating concern in teachers in Argentina. The second one is the uncritical use of AI for homework, like do it for me and I print it and give it to the teacher the way it is. And the third one is lack of critical reading. Again, these 3 can be combined or can be the same issue, but this was like the 3 main difficulties or concerns they found. Then we have misinformation, the question about writing, and the question about how to evaluate activities when AI is present. And about their own concerns in how to use technology in class, teachers said that they were worried about learning how to use the technology, and after learning how to use it, learning how to practically use the AI, for example, how to prompt or how to ask information for a generative AI, also how to incorporate that in a learning process. So I know how to use it, and then how can I incorporate this in my activities or for my students. So after this preliminary analysis, we found that both concerns, the concerns teachers have about their own difficulties in using technology, and also the concerns they have on how students use technology, can be addressed by teacher training. And there were really also with a lot of common points with media and information literacy training. So that's also why we continue with our alliance in this third part that was the virtual course. So we considered that one of the things we could do from Argentina was to address discussions on AI, media and information literacy, and Wikimedia projects in a teacher training, but always from a pedagogical and critical perspective. That is the way that we like to work here in Wikimedia Argentina and in the education program. So for this third part, we pilot a virtual course that was done or is still going on in the second semester of the year. We started in October and we are closing now the next week. This course was also for high school and university teachers in Latin American region, and we did it in alliance with the MIL Alliance and Las Otras Voces, that is another organization here that works with media and information literacy. In this virtual course, we had also a lot of interested teachers, more than 700 people enrolled for the course, and we have 550 participants in the synchronicous activities. We did 3 synchronicous activities, and all 3 were with 150 participants. We contact specialized teachers for each class. In this case, we didn't thought Luisina and I doesn't consider us as experts on AI. So when we are talking about these subjects or areas that we don't consider experts, we always contact teachers or specialized people to make the class and to impart the information. We did all in our virtual campus, in Wikimedia Argentina virtual campus, and we thought about in a hybrid model. As I told you, we are like closing the year here, and October and November are really demanding months for teachers' work. So we thought a hybrid model was better, and we had some classes in synchronical way, and some were in asynchronical way. Well, we did 5 classes. These are the topics the classes went about. So the first one was about media and information literacy and artificial intelligence, and how can this be dialoguing. Then we have 2 classes about what is AI and how it works, and what are the challenges. That this is like the part that was more interesting for teachers. One was of data and artificial intelligence, and the other was about AI and ethical debates, responsibility, privacy, and bias. Of course, we had a lot of topics out. For example, at the end of the 5th class, they asked more information about legal aspects and about how we can control AI and what's going on about that. That is something that maybe we will address next course. But we decided that these were the main topics that could be interesting for someone who know nothing about AI. Our interest was like to address everyone, and so that every teacher can have some information about what's going on with the AI, what does it mean, and what are the main problems or issues we can address with this. Our 4th class was about Wikimedia projects and AI. I'm going to talk about now what we did in that case. And the last class was about some experiences on using AI, and we make like a guide of good practice of what to do or maybe what not to do when we use AI in classrooms, and we put that in comments. So if then you want to address it, you can. Of course, it's in Spanish, but it's with a CC license, so it can be translated and reutilized in other languages. So we had a lot of debate here in the office about what to say and how to address AI and Wikimedia projects, because we were in Wikimania this year, and we know that this is like an open debate, and we can address it from a lot of different points of view. So we thought about addressing it through a pedagogical perspective. That is what we do here in the program, and starting about what are the concerns that the Wikimedia community has about AIs, and like, I don't know, propose a debate for the teachers in that way. We talk about the concerns regarding the bias, the lack of transparency of algorithms, the non-compliance of AI in CC licenses and how they use our projects, but they never tell they use our projects. And these other 2 topics that are the empowerment of knowledge in the future if AIs start in Wikipedia, and also the erosion of the commons, and what about human knowledge, and this debate about human and machines. Of course, was only 1 class, so we opened the debate. A lot of people, a lot of teachers were new in Wikimedia movement. 80% of the teachers were the first time they did a course with us. So in that class, we also talk about what is Wikipedia, how it works. So it was like a bit like everything one, but it was really interesting for us because with this topic, we can reach new teachers and new persons to our program and to our projects. So that was really interesting too. And so, as I told you, and just to close, the course is in its final stage, and we are still waiting for the survey results. But some impressions we have until now is that there is a great interest of teachers in AI topics. As I said before, it's not that when Wikipedia started that was like, no, don't do this. People are experimenting with AIs. They are thinking how AI can be useful for their teaching classes or their lives. So there is a lot of interest in knowing how they work and why or how to use them. There was a lot of participation and desire to know more. So people say, we want to talk about regulation. We want to talk about, I don't know, we had a class about mathematics, so that was, wait a moment, but then people like get it why it's important to know about data and math and AI, so they were also interested in that. And then we find a lot of openness to think about AI from the perspective of open knowledge and free knowledge, and a lot of critical thinking about especially about ethic problems. So we thought that was really interesting also. Teachers are really concerned about how that can affect students' lives and everyone's lives. So we find that really interesting to go on the future. So well, that's all from here. And if you have any other question, of course, I will be glad to respond.
Thank you so much, Florencia. That was wonderful and some really, really great nuggets in there. There are a couple of questions already in the chat. One is if you could share the survey form that you used. I'm not sure if it's in Spanish or if there is an English version of it that might be helpful too.
It's in Spanish, but we can translate it and share, of course.
Okay.
Yes, no problem.
Wonderful, wonderful.
The survey had some issues, as I told you before. When we ended the process of processing the data, we found that maybe we had to make some questions better. So of course I can share it to you, but it's also open to reflection on how to ask. And maybe it's a bit long, that's why people doesn't feel it until the end. So I can share it, of course, but it's really interesting to have some feedback because there are a lot of things we can do better in the forum. So yes, no problem.
That's great. And then Teresa asks, as a teacher in STEAM, how can I be part of this or how do I apply? Are you doing another round of it? And Teresa, I'm not sure if you speak Spanish or not. Is it just for teachers in Argentina?
Not for teachers in Argentina, but it's in Spanish. The course it's ending right now, and we make it in this first pilot like a closed course. So we have all the classes in hidden in YouTube. But we are thinking about doing it again next year. So of course, if I don't know, Teresa, if you are a Spanish speaker, but if you are really invited. And then we are like thinking about how to share this with our communities, how to translate, and of course we are open if someone wants to get in contact to partner. Of course, we are really open.
Okay. And then, yeah, can you give an example of how you integrated Wikimedia with AI in education at the school level?
Well, as I told you before, the class about Wikimedia was mainly a class where we present the open debates that our communities are having right now, mainly about how we are concerned on the effects that generative AI can have in our projects. And then we invited Jacqueline Bucio, that maybe you know her, she's from Wikimedia Mexico, to make a class about different experience that she has been doing in the university where she works in Mexico, in UNAM. So the class about Wikipedia was in that way, and we presented like an exercise for teachers using a note from a newspaper that was done I have to remember her name, but she's the Wikimedian of the year, Hannah. So we presented they did an interview for her, to her, and we presented that interview and asked the teachers to think about how we can encourage newcomers for Wikipedia, because one of the things that we were thinking in this like position about what generative AIs can do and what we can do as humans, and this problem about why there are not more people editing Wikipedia and what is happening in our projects with newcomers. So in that class, the activity was for teachers to think how we can encourage new generations to edit Wikipedia, and how to try to teach on the importance of community, of writing about our knowledge from our perspective. So that class was about that. Then I can we have a lot of in the last class, the final work they had to do was to think an activity using AIs or using the debate about AI in their own classrooms. So we are like compiling all that works, and maybe we are going to make a publication. For what I have read now, no one is using Wikipedia yet, but the activities are really interesting. And so, as I said, we just like this issue is really new, and we are trying to present it as the open debate that is in our community, respecting a lot of what our community is talking about and is worried about. So we didn't try to use AI and Wikipedia as an activity just to present the issues and the concerns. But of course, we maybe in the next editions of the course, maybe we can change the activities. But from now, I can't tell you, I can't tell you any activity punctual.
Okay, great. And Zico says, if we can claim Wikipedia is free of AI content, is that a positive or an asset in the eye of the teachers?
Yes, I think that teachers are seeing Wikipedia with new eyes when we compare Wikipedia with AI. And that is why or at least me, I was like surprised that people is using so openly AI in education, because I thought like if Wikipedia was a concern, how can't AI be a concern? But I think that Wikipedia has like a spot in this discussion, because when we present the differences that is creating knowledge by this whole lot of humans that we are really diverse, we are really from a lot of different places from the world, we are creating knowledge in a lot of different languages, and we find that GenAI is like being trained like from one perspective and with a lot of bias and with a lot of misinformation. I think that in that contrast, like teachers say, okay, Wikipedia has a lot to give me, maybe to make these comparisons. And also when we talk about reliable sources, I think that there is a really interesting point to mark that in Wikipedia, we can find the sources that AI is not giving us. So I think that points are really interesting to get people again to Wikipedia, at last teachers, but also to give Wikipedia like a really interesting place in education right now to think about technologies, because it's of course interesting to use technology. Teachers are concerned about how to get students in studying, so they are looking for different apps or different I don't know, technologies or tools that can make their classes more interesting. And that I think that we have something also there, because Wikipedia is a digital technology, maybe a vintage one, but we are there. So I think that it's interesting for us to be in the discussion with all these concerns, and of course like respecting our communities and their concerns and their answers if we have some on the future about how to and what we are going to do with AI in our projects. But I think that we have a lot to say, and it's interesting to say it, because we are like a super cool project and we have a lot to do in education.
Indeed. We have another question about your survey, which was, how does the school leadership accept Wikimedia education? How did you motivate them to start the survey?
Okay, as I told you, we make the survey in a virtual way, and we send it through our all channels. We have social media channels, but also we have a huge database of teachers. The Wikimedia Argentina education program is running since 2014, so we have more than 10 years of database information that is really like our main core of teachers. So we send it and people respond, and we didn't do like a door-to-door or person-to-person survey. But I think that also is because the topic is like being an issue on education. Although a lot of people, a lot of teachers are using them, a lot of other teachers are having concerns or are getting homeworks done with AI without any reflection. So this is an issue in Argentinian schools. So I think that is why there were a lot of people interested in responding the survey, and a lot more interested in training about these topics. So I think that being on the topic that is going on classes is helping to motivate teachers to discuss or to present their perspective.
Okay, great. I think that's the end of the questions in the chat. But if there's any more, certainly put them in. But I'd like to turn this over to sort of a discussion now. And feel free to unmute yourself and chime in here. Or if you would like to post a comment in the chat, I can read it out, whichever is easier for you. And the question is, how does this what Florencia has shared about the experiences of teachers in Argentina, how is that similar to or different from the experiences that you've had with teachers in your countries and engaging in your education programs? Of, how do you see, what are you hearing from teachers? How are you using generative AI with students in your programs? What is sort of the general feelings about generative AI? And we're interested in hearing this from sort of data points from all over the world. So anyone who wants to chime in is welcome to unmute themselves or post a comment in the chat. Hopefully someone is writing a comment in the chat now. Has anyone used generative AI successfully to contribute to Wikimedia projects in their education program? Akbar, do you wanna share, or do you wanna just write in the chat and I can read it out loud?
Okay, I can speak. This
Go for
is
it.
Akbar. Okay, this is Akbar Ali from Dubai, UAE. Basically, I'm an educator, and we use a lot of technology and Wikimedia tools in education. So recently, from 2023 onwards, we also started to use AI tools in the education. Especially, we are trying to integrate with Wikimedia. As part of that, some subject like humanities, students were asked to prepare a presentation using PowerPoint, but the images they were generating with the help of AI, and there is a concern they would like to upload those images into Wikimedia Commons. That was the one practice. Secondly, we have downloaded images from Wikimedia Commons. By using AI, we modified into a different kind of image, like, for example, watercolor image, or we also try to mix images from AI. That was some experiments. Similarly, we also use AI tools to simplify the complex text which we find in different sources. And that simplified text will be added into Wikimedia article, especially Wikipedia article. These are some examples using Wikimedia Commons with the help of AI. And also when we use some AI tools like Copilot, whenever we ask questions in Copilot, it also shows Wikimedia, especially Wikipedia links as a reference. So we highlight that, see, these informations are generated from Wikipedia. Copilot is always giving more preference for Wikimedia, and we will click the link slowly from AI tool. We open the Wikipedia article and we will ask the students to read more about this article from Wikipedia. So these are some experiments going on in Dubai. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Those sound like great experiments. Anyone else want to share what they have been doing in their country? I guess I can share a little bit from the United States. Obviously, Generative AI is something that students in the United States use a lot. We have not seen sort of when it's of course hard to detect when they are using it. But generally our experiences is students are either sort of using it and then doing a good job of checking references to make sure they exist and sort of actually effectively using it as a starting point and adapting from there such that we can't really tell that they did use it, or they are just uncritically putting it in, and it's quite obvious that it was generative AI, and we can undo that pretty quickly. And generally, what we've been finding is students always, a small portion of students always plagiarized. And generally, what we have been finding is the students who are using generative AI are the same sort of portion of students who used to plagiarize. And so instead of copying and pasting from something else into Wikipedia, they are instead now using generative AI. So they've just changed the mechanism that they are plagiarizing with, but it is not, substantially different. There's not sort of substantially more. But I think, we have discussed other ways that generative AI can be helpful for students. For example, asking what kinds of sources might be available for a particular topic, or what additional gaps might exist in a current Wikipedia article. It might be able to share suggestions of things like that. And so I think we've talked about ways of using it as a sort of research tool on the front end versus a writing tool on the back end. So yeah, Zico says in the Netherlands middle schools, to my knowledge, the official use of AI tools is limited, but students are eager to abuse it for doing homework, and it is usually easy to detect. Some find writing a prompt too difficult. And yeah, I think this is sort of one of the critical skills of, many of us who went to college during, times when the internet was first getting started or Google was first getting started. You spent time learning how to write a good search query, right, with Boolean terms and things like that. And now you would need to learn to write a good prompt to get what you want to have out of generative AI, and that's a skill. So, and yeah, some participants were very interested in having students think about good prompts. So yeah, like prompt writing becomes way more important. And then, yeah, as a research tool, my supervisees have used Gen AI for literature reviews. I think we see this kind of a lot of like, how do you find information? And generative AI models have lots of sources that have fed into them and may be able to sort of help students go in the right direction there. I would say, has anyone used it for sort of smoothing out grammar or other things like that? This is something I've heard. It's not something we tend to use much, but especially for students who are non-native speakers of the language that they're contributing to, being able to sort of write something and have a generative AI to make sure that it flows as a native speaker would write it, can be really helpful as well. Yeah, and data training and interpretation of complex data, which is absolutely true, of being able to sort of pull out, complex data from charts, and created songs to learn concepts easily using AI tool. I love that idea. I have small children, and I definitely appreciate how much they learn by singing songs. So yeah, supervised use Gen AI to smooth out grammar after the thesis was completed. Yeah, so I think there's, a lot of times the discussions around generative AI remind me of the early days of discussions of Wikipedia and education, right? That, many institutions just were like, we ban Wikipedia, and that was not actually helpful. Like, instead, they should be teaching students how to engage with Wikipedia as a source, where it is reliable, where it isn't reliable, sort of how to read a synthesis of information and go down to the references and find the original sort of secondary and tertiary sources that you should be citing in your paper. And so, I think the same is true with generative AI, and that it is a tool, and teaching students how to effectively use the tool and its benefits and its limitations, and how you can effectively engage with it is something sort of we should all be doing in the education space. So, but specifically how to, think critically about it and not just take its output as the general truth. So, despite being called artificial intelligence, it is not actually human or smart. It is good at predicting the next word in a sentence. Anyone else have something they'd like to share? Zico, go ahead.
If you allow, I think we all have a similar experience that nowadays ChatGPT is actually quite good in a lot of things, and it gives results that are usable. But I always have the impression that they are also limited in quality. They are mediocre. The answers is what you would expect. And for most people present here, it's not really original or new or something that you couldn't make up yourself. But I could imagine if we think about pupils, well, for them, actually, there's a lot of original, new, and useful stuff that is coming out of the machine. So if you look at it from that point of view, or people who can read and write, but they find it difficult to actually write an email, well, for them, it would be a game changer.
Yeah.
Like translating now, I do it with the support of AI, but I only do it in texts and languages that I can understand myself. I wouldn't dare to have a text produced that I couldn't understand at all. But so if you look at that from that point of view, it's quite different.
There's a question of which license you can upload content that was created using AI tools on Wikimedia Commons. I am not a lawyer and do not feel comfortable saying one way or the other, but I know Commons has a page about generative AI images. Zico, do you have that handy? Maybe you could pull that up and share a link in it, or someone else. If someone has that link, it would be good to share that out. Any other questions or comments or your experiences of generative AI in your education programs? Okay, well, I'm not hearing anything else. I am sure this is not the last time we will talk about this topic. One of the incredible things about generative AI is how quickly it changes, and how information or suggestions or thoughts that you had a month or two ago may be totally different now. And so, I think one of the things that we as the Wikimedia and education community need to keep in mind is that that we will want to continue connecting on this throughout the coming years, months and years. So with this, I will wrap up the meeting. So I want to start by thanking Florencia so much. Please join me in a virtual round of applause for her wonderful presentation and the great chat that she started. And so thank you so much for everyone for your attendance, and those of you watching the YouTube stream later, thank you for watching as well. And then Zico, I know you wanted to talk about potential next conferences, so go ahead. Or next
Yes.
EduWiki Knowledge Showcases, excuse me.
Thank you, Liana. Yes, we talked about a little meeting at the end of January, an online meeting for this crowd, for educational people, with a kind of lightning talks, 5 minutes talk, 5 minutes discussion about topics related to education and Wikipedia, maybe something that is very recently coming up and interesting for the year 2025, maybe related to the conference in Bogota. So if we have a handful of contributors, we would have a wonderful hour of education and Wikipedia. So if you're interested, please contact me. And if you have a proposal, I would be very interested. Yes?
Wonderful. Yeah. And we will set a date for that and send out messages on the education list as well, closer to the time. So, I think with that, I will wrap this up. And as we were talking about generative AI, one thing that popped into my head was a reminder that when you do fill out your EduWiki Conference 2025 scholarship applications, we strongly encourage you to not use generative AI to form the answers to your questions. We have been seeing some answers that we suspect are coming out of generative AI because they all sound very similar and are not particularly unique to that individual person. So you will do better with your scholarship application if you speak more directly about yourself and your work and your programs. So we encourage you to not use generative AI for your scholarship application and instead answer the questions yourself. So Zico, you just sent that to me in DM instead of to the group. So Zico will share his email address then more broadly here in a moment. There we go. All right. With that, I want to say thank you to everyone. I appreciate you showing up and engaging in this discussion, and we look forward to hoping to connect with you in December, or in January. Many thanks to Florencia again, and get your applications in to attend the EduWiki conference. All right, thanks all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.